Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom and welcome to another apartment renovation. So here I'm building in San Myshuno on the lot 19 Culpepper House, I believe. It's one of the lots in the Spice District and it is the one specifically with a balcony. So, if you don't really memorize them by name, that should give you a clue as to where I'm building on. But yeah, my long silence or absence has been broken yet again. I don't know for how long I'll be able to keep this up, but yeah, I am back with another speed build as always, and probably like the other times I've said that I wanted to get back in the building, this is me easing myself into things, and I say easing very lightly because, like I said, I don't know how long I can keep this up for without having a long without having another long unupdated silence. But yeah, so right into the build. I am renovating this for a family of 3 to 4 depending on if you have 1 or 2 parents. But yeah, after I'm done with the apartment, it can sleep 2 parents, 1 child, and 1 teen. Specifically because I included hobby items for the children and for, well, the child, not the children plural, just one. And I also included some other high school-ish items for the teen, which hopefully makes sense once we get to that part of the apartment, because honestly, I'm quite fond of the little decorations I included in the kids' rooms. I usually struggle with decorating them because I don't know how to make it seem like it's for the specific age group that I'm decorating for. But I think I did a pretty good job, so do let me know if you agree. But yeah, the main focus of this apartment really was just to use the new book nook kit as well as the Get Famous expansion pack that I recently bought. Because I am almost ashamed to say that a way for me to get out of my little building rut is to spend money. I am not advocating that you should do the same, but it seems to have worked for me. And while I could, instead of spending money, I guess download some free custom content, I'd like to make speed builds of the already in-game content because it just seems easier for me that way. I don't exactly feel like linking all the CC that I would probably end up mass downloading and using in all my builds, so for the sake of, I guess, y'all and me, it's just safer to stick with the Maxis items already in game. But yeah, the floor plan is pretty simple. There is an open floor plan with the living, kitchen, and dining room surprisingly cohesive enough to be spacious in a way that doesn't feel too cramped. I want to assume that you also feel the same. But yeah, I was able to include a couple of counters, a couple of island counters. I included a full sofa, a full couch, but not any side chairs. I think I actually added a single side chair in front of a lamp. I know I'm kind of like moving all over the place in this build. It's mainly because I just didn't want to focus on an area too long and end up getting stuck and just having to cut out a whole bunch of footage when I know that there are other pieces of furniture that I want to include in this apartment. So I just kind of placed that down and then went about at my own pace. But yeah, in the living room, I was able to decorate it in a way that sort of looks like there is a built-in TV thing. Right there you can see with the bookshelves lining on the wall above and below the TV. I thought it was kind of a nice touch to add because in the promotional image for the book nook kit, I think it includes something similar. And I'm also using the couch from the new book nook kit. I don't know if it really screams mid-century modern, but I just like how curvy it looked. And I think with the newly added base game coffee tables they added for the infant update, it kind of did well to match that sort of curvature. And I think the dining chairs also have that sort of curvature that hopefully makes the space feel more cohesive. Yeah, and as I continue to work on the interior, let me actually tell y'all about the family that I imagine would be living here. And let me preface this with saying that I do end up adding a whole gallery wall to the parents' room because after looking at screenshots before that little addition, it looked pretty empty and not as though there was a personality to the Sims living there, which tends to happen a lot for my builds, but it's okay. I just wanted to add something a little bit new, and especially with the new posters that came with the book note kit, and I think there are also movie posters that came with Get Famous. I kind of wanted to include both of those into one space, so look out for that at the end of the speed build. But yeah, the parents I imagined, or parent, would be a writer of some sort, maybe an author or a magazine writer, just something that they can write for, like a magazine. I don't know. This is San Myshuno, the supposed big city. I imagine that they'd probably be working for a magazine. I'm not exactly sure how you would work for a magazine as a writer because the only knowledge I have of that is Devil Wears Prada. So it's safe to say my knowledge is not secure or accurate in the least, but yeah, that kind of inspired me to do the gallery wall. Or rather, the gallery wall inspired me to do that because I think there's a base game item or city living item that has a framed magazine cover on it. So I thought that would be kind of cute to tie in and add a little personality and story to the family that's living here. Yeah, and the two children they have, or the two kids, their child, I want to say, is a bit of a science whiz. I believe the actual aspiration is computer whiz, but for some reason my first thought was science, and so I included a poster of the periodic table, and I will admit I momentarily forgot it was called the periodic table, and I had to Google table of elements or scientific elements, and that was a low point momentarily. But yeah, I was able to include a base game science. I think it's a table, not a machine. Yeah, a table. And I also included some projects from Parenthood to make it seem like, yeah, this kid is a bit of a genius. They have a couple of side projects going on in preparation for a science fair, which unfortunately I think does not exist in the game at all. I'm not even sure if it even exists in high school years. But yeah, I thought it was a nice touch to add, and I was also able to add a desk space, and I included, I think, a little tablet computer. It's a little one that came with the pastel pop kit. And yeah, honestly, the whole vibes of the room is very, very pastel, very pink, but also this kid is a genius, and it shall be known. But yeah, and the other kid I imagined in this apartment, the teen, is, I guess, an athlete of some sort. I didn't have a specific sport in mind. I was thinking maybe soccer because I know in the university expansion pack at the Red University, the more modern one, they have a soccer team, I think. And I thought it's like a kind of cool pipeline to go from the... Is there a soccer team in the high school expansion? I'm not sure. I think there might be, but yeah, a cool pipeline to go from sports in high school and then sports in college, because that's, it's kind of realistic, I suppose. And yeah, I also included a whole bunch of books in this apartment because with the influence of their parents or parent being a writer or just really well versed in literature, I thought that kind of influence would trickle down into the kids' aspirations and hobbies and whatnot. So there are plenty of bookshelves in this apartment. And in the teen room, before I forget, there's a whole wall of bookshelves, which I included a nice gallery wall as well, with, of course, posters from the high school expansion pack, and I think it turned out pretty nicely. So we will have to wait a bit before we get to there. But yeah, right now I am decorating the parents' room, and as you can see, it is very plainly decorated. And that's largely because of the windows that I unfortunately do include, as well as the tall glass doors, which is, by the way, the only entrance and exit onto the balcony. Listen, I don't like to make the floor plan for this apartment like this, where the only entrance to the balcony is through a room, but I thought for a bit of change when it comes to making the floor plan for this apartment, I could cave in and see what the big deal was all about. And, thankfully, I think the floor plan turned out pretty fine, I think. They all have decently sized rooms, and I don't think it's too cramped. Oh, I also play tested this. If you were wondering, I did play test it. Even the couch that I decided to include beneath the bunk bed in the child's room, which I was not expecting to work because I placed a size down dollhouse in front of it. But yeah, your child could sit, snap, because they can't sleep in couches, they can nap, and a sim can also be in the bunk bed. So yeah, that was kind of surprising to figure out, but yeah, it worked out in the end. And here in the child's room, we are finally starting to see the bits of pink and pastel and lighter wood tones come into play. But yeah, I'm not sure when I decorate the balcony, but there's really not much to it. I didn't know what I could add that wouldn't feel like it's taking up too much space on the balcony, because it's only 3 by, I want to say 7 tiles, maybe 8. I think 8 or 10. I don't know. It's just very long and skinny, but yeah, I was able to include a couple of Dream Home Decorator couches, a grill, a couple of planter boxes, and a child's bike, because I'm not sure what else I could fit on there. I was thinking I could include a bird feeder for once in my life, but I playtested that a couple of builds ago, and I found out they don't actually work indoors, which, makes sense. I'm not sure what kind of bird would be hanging on a balcony. Although, as someone who lives primarily indoors, I can't say for certain that they wouldn't. So yeah, moral of the story is bird feeders don't work on the balcony, and although it would be kind of nice to add, and I want to say sort of realistic to an extent, I couldn't add it. But yeah, there is the desk space that I'm working on for the child. Don't worry, because I think you can drag the computer into their inventory, so if they need to do homework and maybe the dining area is a bit too loud for their liking, they can just hop into the room, close their little tablet, and start working on their homework. But yeah, the decorations for the child's room was kind of minimal in comparison to the teen's room, as in the walls, there's plenty of wall space, as you can see, but there's a lot more posters in the teen's room, which I guess may seem fitting. Maybe the teen has a job and they have money to splurge on said posters. And for this room, I actually remembered that high school years came with decorated doors, but of course the color of wood swatch that I chose for the other rooms did not come in the same swatch as the decorated doors, which I find kind of confusing, but okay, I accept it. But yeah, I'm just adding some other science-y space-like posters that I thought would kind of fit here. And once I'm done at decorating these little bookshelves, I think I move on to the balcony, which I already talked about, but we'll see firsthand. And while I continue on building, can I just mention the new expansion pack that's supposed to be releasing? Was it the 31st or the 21st? But yeah, I don't know the exact name, but I know it has the word ranch in it, and it's coming with horses, and it's basically like the Midwest, so like Strangerville, but without the strange. I think. I'm honestly not too sure about what comes in the pack besides horses, because I haven't really watched any of the live streams or the trailers in depth, so do let me know what your favorite part about the pack that is supposed to be coming. I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I should plan to buy it, because it's not like Growing Together where it came with a lot of useful items that I could include in builds and I guess gameplay if I ever do decide to start playing again, gameplay wise, or maybe not gameplay, like live mode wise. But yeah, I don't find it that essential. I was never a horse girl, although I do live in Texas, and I remember having maybe a family member that doesn't live in Texas ask me, do we ride horses in Texas? And the answer is no. I live in suburbia, although I'm sure they ride horses elsewhere. The expansion pack, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, let me know your thoughts. I honestly don't really know what to make of it because after the live stream, I've seen some comments saying that it feels a little underwhelming for a expansion pack and it would be more fitting to be a game pack, which, you know, if it was a game pack, I'd probably be more inclined to buy it. Of course, when it comes on sale in like, I don't know, a year, 6 months. But yeah, that's kind of where I am on the whole thing. And you know, speaking of the Midwest, I know I live in like Southern America. It has been so very warm lately. Like if Texas had an 8 to 5 job, or is it 9 to 5? Well, you know, I checked the times. It's literally 8 to 5 p.m. It is so warm. I'm in my bed sweating, just kind of waiting for the temperature to cool down. And it doesn't. Not at all. It just keeps getting hotter and hotter, and the humidity really isn't helping. And also, my sister and I tried to make macarons. It was a mistake, by the way, because our meringue wouldn't rise because of how humid it was. And there really wasn't a way we could dry it out, so it was a whole mess and a half, and I think we won't be reattempting for a couple months, or at least when it gets cooler and drier, which, you know, living in Texas will not happen often. But yeah, after all that talking, we are finally working on the teens room, and here is the little bookshelf wall that I mentioned, as well as the gallery on top of it. This was a really detailed wall compared to the rest of the room and the rest of the house, I think, in my opinion. So it may seem a little out of place, but I thought it looked nice. But you know, after like zooming out and looking at the room, I realized maybe it would have been better for the bookshelf wall to be on the other side, because when you play with the walls down, these bookshelves stay up. Like, they're not like the Dream Home Decorator shelves that disappear when you put down all the walls. No, they stay up. So I guess when you're looking at the kitchen, it may act as like a sort of separation between the two places because they're right next to each other. You know, that's just something to keep in mind. And I would have rotated the room if I had known for sure that these items wouldn't delete once I rotated the room. But, you know, I assumed they would, so I just didn't bother. I mean, I think it's fine as is. It kind of makes the walkway of the room a little bit better, because I don't know how the bookshelves would look next to the wardrobe that I include right next to the door. So just some other things to think about. But yeah, I'm just kind of filling in the rest of the blank space in this room. As you notice, I do add the rug very much later in comparison to when I would usually start off with a bed and a rug and kind of work my way up from there. But no, this time I started with wall decorations first, other decorations second. Oh, and another thing for this build, I do end up including laundry, which is another pack that I bought for the realism. And I thought it'd be nice to have another space to include in my houses / apartments. Like, I could combine it with the bathroom or have like a separate utility room with laundry. And you know, it's San Myshuno. I don't know how common it is to have your own in-place laundry machines, but I thought it was a nice touch. And although I haven't made any speed builds of any of the other apartments in this building, I did already upload 2 other ones. I think it is 16 and 17 Culpepper House that I uploaded on the gallery under my ID caitom, and that is also where you'll find this apartment on the gallery. I believe it is listed under the same name as the apartment, so 19 Culpepper House. I know I've built in here before, but yeah, I don't know if I have uploaded that to the gallery. But yeah, I'm also not sure if I include footage of the bathroom, but we are pretty much done with the build. If you have enjoyed today's video and would hopefully like to see more in the future, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you want to download this build, like I mentioned before, it'll be on the gallery, or you can find tray files on my Patreon in the correct zip format. Oops, a little my part. But yeah, if you have anything else you want to tell me, comments are open. I think I will start posting more. I do have another speed build ready. I think it's of one of the apartments actually. It's just footage I never ended up using. Or rather I recorded it and I didn't end up making it into a speed build, but hopefully, you know, we'll get everything sorted out, or rather I will, because you know it's my channel, my videos. But yeah, thanks for hanging, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.